All right, so what I'm going to do is just start the process by showing you the little diagram or drawing or plan I made out for this bag. Now, I did see a video on YouTube. I can't remember her name as I'm recording this voiceover, but I will give her credit either in the description box or in this video here. I'll link you up to her so you can see. She's a wonderful, wonderful crafter, so I really enjoy watching her videos and getting inspiration from that. So you see that my measurements will change slightly as well. I just kind of tweaked this as I went along, and I ended up making a really big bag and a really small bag, and this one that I'm doing for the video is the small bag, and it's a good sized tote to carry little this and that. So if you're a mommy and you've got snacks for your kids or something, you know, you can use it for that. But anyway, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this, the straps over halfway, and then fold half to the center, and then you will see me fold it over. You can basically see what I'm doing here. I'm going to do this with both straps, and what I will end up doing is sewing a stitch down both sides of it, and you do it down both, even on the folded side, just so it looks kind of neat and well put together. So you see there's my straps, and I will take them over to the machine and I'll sew down both sides of each one. All right, so there is my straps. There are my straps, and we're not going to need those right now, but we did need to do those first, so we're going to put those aside, and we're going to start constructing the pockets for the bag. And that's no big deal. I'm just folding over a couple of times just to cover up the raw edge. I'm doing about 1/4 of an inch for each fold over, maybe a little more than that. It just depends on how big you want your pockets. You can do this in any size. That is the fun part about this project. You can make really wide pockets. You can make really small pockets. You can double up on the pockets. This is a fun project for a beginner because it makes it way easier. You know, you're learning as you go. So I've top stitched those fold overs, and now what I'm going to do is get the bag body ready. And you'll see here that what I'm going to do is find the middle, and I'm going to mark the middle for that. Don't know why I did the top. Didn't really need it at the time. But anyway, I found the middle for the pocket and the bag, and I lined those up. And then I lined my straps up about a little more than halfway over, maybe 2/3 of the way over the pocket to cover it up. My straps were entirely too long, but you go by the measurements. I just cut a really long piece, but the original measurements I gave for the straps are correct. So I'm going about 2 inches down from the top. I do not want to connect my straps when I do the final part of my sewing project. You're seeing, if you go to the video that I got from the YouTuber for the inspiration for this, she does her straps all the way up to the top when she completes the bag, and I don't really want to do that. I like to be able to fold those straps over, you know, when you open up your bag and you're digging through it. So anyway, what I'm actually doing is with that 2-inch mark, that's where I'm stopping, and I'm starting the horizontal part of my rectangle that I'm sewing there to keep those straps on. And I absolutely love making this little bag. It's super easy and it's so neat. So now I'm just going to sew the bottom part of that bag onto both sides, and you see when I pull that out, this is what it looks like. And if you choose to, you could press those seams open, but I was gonna do that, and then I realized I just didn't think that was gonna work. It's just gonna create more bulk. So what I'm doing when I go to sew these sides is I'm going to sew with, just let those seams be facing down and just leave them like that. I think that creates less bulk for the bag. So anyway, yep, now I'm gonna sew down the sides, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now for the lining of the bag, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold over for the bottom part of the lining and kind of match it up to the inside of the outer part of the bag. And that just, you know, if you do this at this step, it just ensures that you get that lining right, because sometimes I tend to trim when I'm working on something that doesn't have a pattern, and so there's a chance that my outside of the bag and my lining would have been different sizes if I tried to cut these at the same time. So anyway, yeah, that's why I did that before I did these corners as well. So you see I'm just squaring up the corner there, and I believe I do have a video on that, and there will be a link in the right hand side upper side of this video that you can click on to check out how to make those. And since the bottom of these bags do not have a seam because it's one whole piece, what I did was pressed it so I could mark that arrow and make it just perfect for the squared corners. So I'm doing the same thing with the lining here, and you see me doing that. And this is a little tricky. I prefer to do it a little neater than I actually did it in the video. I was really just trying out this little bag, and I ended up making several more after this. But I would take the time to measure and do all of that with those squared corners, because they look so much better when you do. But I got lucky with the bags that I made, and the corners turned out pretty well for this first one. So yeah. And I also forgot to leave that little opening in the side. I'm so busy trying to cover everything else that I forgot to tell y'all about that. Don't sew it up and then have to rip it open with the seam ripper like I did. You just want to leave a little space about 4 inches wide so that you can reach your hand in there and turn the bag after you do this part, which is the drop-in lining. So I'm going to drop it in, and it's going to be a turned lining, not a drop-in. So I'm just pinning the corners. I don't do a whole lot of crazy pinning because I stick myself a lot. So yeah, then I just sewed all the way around, and that clip of the video is missing. My camera died when I was sewing it, so you missed that part. But anyway, you get the gist. You sew all the way around. Make sure you get those straps out of the way. Now I'm going to turn the bag and just press everything nice and neat. And the very last thing that I will do is I will do a top stitch. But first, yes, I'm going to glue this. I just like the gluing process better than hand sewing or machine sewing that hole closed. It works better for me. I like the way it looks. So it's up to you. You can hand sew it with a blind stitch, or you can sew it with a machine, or you can do it like I did and just use the glue. So now I'm just going to neaten everything up, and the last thing that I will do is press and then sew a top stitch on that so that the inner and the outer part of the bag don't get all loosened up and messy, and it's just not going to look good. This will keep everything together the way it should be. And go ahead and like, share, and subscribe, and make a whole ton of these bags and come to my Facebook page and show me what you made. All right, and if you like the fabric that you see there, the blue or the teal with the daisies, that is my own personal fabric design. You can find that in my shop on myfabricdesigns.com, and you will be able to get a 15% discount on your purchase by using my code, which you will see right here across the screen. So there you have it. There are 2 of my finished bags. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Peace, y'all. Bye-bye.